Hi, I'm Alex with W Coding, and we're here to talk about looking for jobs in the IT industry and hopefully cover some things that will help you in your search for the job. Now, obviously, I can really only speak from my own experience. So I want to start by talking about things that I look for when we hire here at W Coding and also when I've hired in the past. And largely it revolves around four elements that I look for. One of them is the desire to learn. And so whenever I'm interviewing or if I have the benefit I have here at W Coding to watch these students go through the program, I'm looking for the desire to learn, that real curiousness about what they're working with, and the ability and willingness to take that extra step outside of class or outside of work or whatever it takes to get that extra knowledge that they want. You want to learn and you want to expand because IT is constantly changing. You have to keep learning, and that's a great skill. And probably the number one thing that I'm looking for in a candidate is that desire and that hunger to learn new things. Another thing that we look for, number two, I would say, is perseverance. The job isn't always a smooth one, just as learning is not always smooth. So when you hit that roadblock, when you hit a point in time where it's painful because you don't know where to go and what to do you have the wherewithal and the stubbornness to stick with it so that you can find your answer? Do you not give up? Now, this isn't necessarily saying that you don't go home and rest. That's absolutely important as well. But this is just more that you don't think of it just as a dead end and let someone else kind of deal with it. If you have the attitude of, this is my thing, I'm going to find a solution. That's the kind of the attitude that I want, and also helps in the learning process. The third thing I would say is to be a good team player. And what I mean by that is probably, I could break that down to two things. One is that you are willing to accept that you have weaknesses, that you have holes in your knowledge. And so that humbleness about your stature, that you're not a rock star, that you're not some like coding ninja, that you have things that you don't know, and other people around you may know better than you. You're not the best. That humbleness is really important for learning and as well as being able to persevere. Because even though you might not know and you might be weak now, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be continuing that way. And so I think, the second part, perseverance, is kind of also plays into that that there's going to be a time where you do know where that weaknesses will be covered. But that team player is the ability within that group dynamic to willing to admit that I am not necessarily always the best, that I'm not always going to be right, and that, the humbleness to be able to step back and let other people contribute. And the second thing I'm looking for in a team player is the willingness to help others. We're all in this, dynamic cauldron of IT changing all around us together, and we only have two eyeballs and two ears and one brain. We have to work together in order to persevere. We have to work together in order to learn new things. And so are you willing to help other people in their journey, as well as being able to take help from other people in your journey? That give and take. You have to help others. You have to be humble about your own weaknesses. Those two, I think, work dynamically together to produce a really good and strong team player. And the last thing I look for, honestly, is skill. Obviously, skill plays into the ability to do a task and perform. But, I think skill is more of a short-term thing where we have short-term goals. Your skills right now are going to help me fulfill those reach those goals. But those long-term things of the ability to learn, the ability to persevere through hardship, and the ability to work as a team so that you can do greater things together than you can alone, those are long-term things and much more important to me when I am doing hiring. Now, this isn't to say that that's what every company is obviously going to do for hiring. Other companies have other priorities, and sometimes companies will have short-term priorities. For example, companies might have a deadline for a contest, for an investor milestone. And And so I can't really, say that, the 4 things I'm looking for is going to be the 4 things that other companies are going to be looking for. And so one of the things that you're going to have to do is to find out by asking them during the interview, maybe before the interview, go to their website, ask other people that you know who have worked there or are currently working there. Get as much knowledge as possible about where this company wants to go. And the second thing I want to say about this is that you also have to figure out yourself. Where do you want to go? What is it that you want out of this relationship with the company, this employment? And so try to figure it and get a good handle about what's important to you. Maybe it's, your own personal growth as a developer, so mentorship becomes important to you. Maybe this is just money for you and really you're into rock climbing and you want to spend and have that time available for you outside of work to be able to do all the things that you're passionate about, rock climbing or what have you. That's going to help you inform your future as to what is going to be a good fit for you and what is not going to be a good fit for you. So don't spend too much or don't spend all your time focusing on what an employer might want. Spend some of that time also focusing on what you want out of an employer, and then we try to fit those 2 together. So let's round out with some tips, maybe about 3 tips to help you, make a big difference in your job seeking adventure. I'd call it an adventure. 1 is to interview a lot. I think that leads into a couple things. 1 is hopefully you'll get more comfortable with rejection. You're going to most likely have more no's than yeses, because usually when you have that 1 yes, the process is over. So most job seeking processes have 1 yes and probably a bunch of no's before then. And so interviewing a lot will help you at least realize that the no is just part of the process. It just means that you're going to have to take another step. But as you take that no step and as you get that rejection, use it to your benefit. Realize, for 1, that the rejection is not always going to be about you. It could be the cousin of the boss ended up getting the job, so you really had no chance to begin with. It could be the company, maybe their budget went a different way, so they're going to be not hiring that role anymore. It could be, anything, literally, that doesn't have anything really to do with you. So don't take rejection personally. Secondly, it's not always going to be about skills. So just because you got rejected doesn't mean you have to hit the books and somehow if you learn 5 more algorithms, that magically they'll open new future doors for you. There are a lot of soft skills. And so one way to kind of approach this is to ask your friends to do things like mock interviews, find out from other people what you might be able to do on your soft skill side that will help you in your new job search. Ask, your ex-coworkers. They've worked with you. They know maybe what you could do to make yourself more approachable for the next interview. And the thirdly is to ask why you were rejected. I think, you take this as a learning experience. So give them a call, write them a letter. Can't guarantee that they'll answer, but maybe 1 in 5, 1 in 10 will. And that'll be vital information that you can use for the next interview to be that much better for the next interview. And so interview a lot I would say is the first tip. Second tip is use your network. Even through my career, most of my jobs I've gotten through my network. The people I know, my reputation, brought a lot of jobs and opened a lot of doors. And I think the same can be true for you as you start developing your career. Don't be afraid to let your friends, your family, your ex-coworkers, let them know that you're looking for a job. Ask them to ask their friends to see, if there's something available. Having that person be able to vouch for you, having someone there to say that, oh yeah, I know this guy, is going to work wonders. It's going to be immeasurably more beneficial than being just another resume on that stack of resumes, right? So networking is huge. So use a network, grow your network. So make sure you get out there, get involved in programming communities. Discord is a great way to meet other programmers. Even in the game, if you do a lot of games, a lot of programmers also happen to be gamers. Ask around. see what they know, and start developing that network. So I would say networking would be the second tip. And third, just in general, stay true to yourself. I think throughout the entire interviewing process, it's easy for us to lose sight of who we are. I think in the entire dance between the companies and you, the company tries to be bigger, and they puff up their chest and like, oh, we're important, and these are our goals, and we're going to make a difference in the world. Might be true, and you're going to do the same thing, right? And so it's two people doing their stuff. That's a natural thing, but try not to lose yourself in there. Be honest to what you want. Be honest to the skills that you have, what you want, and who you are. Because for me, I think that genuineness and that honesty really, really shines through on the interview. And the counterpoint, the pretending, ends up being pretty obvious. And it's a big red flag for me when I interview somebody when they're trying to pretend something that they're not. And so I would say, don't lose yourself. Be genuine to yourself, and make sure that this relationship is going to be a good one and a long-term one between you and the employer. Lastly, let's talk a little bit about W coding and how W coding can help you with some of these factors. And so W coding, I think I want to cover three things that I think differentiate our programs from others. One, group skills. Group skills, I think, goes back to the fact that teamwork is really important. So the ability to have a lot of people around you making mistakes, as well as you, right, being humble and being willing to share your mistakes, but everybody sharing their mistakes makes much faster learning process than one person making a single mistake alone and trying to figure out something along. You're going to realize that programming is much of an art as a science. There's many perspectives, there's many approaches to a problem, and walking each of those approaches and walking each of those perspectives gives you a much richer and fuller knowledge of programming. I also want to say that we focus on hands-on exercises. So we believe that just reading about reading about a language is only going to take you so far, but actually exercising the language, actually using the language, and being able to hit walls, get over walls, help each other, that kind of process, you're going to learn the language much fuller, much faster. So hands-on exercise is one thing that we really like to emphasize here. And the third is broad-based knowledge. I think you're going to find that tech, there's a lot of moving parts, all changing as well. Stuff's being thrown out, new stuff's being put in. It's all a little cauldron of stuff. And at W Coding, we try to give you a nice broad look as to how all of this stuff fits together, as well as obviously we focus in on web as our infrastructure, but this broad-based knowledge will help you make see things where you might fit in the future. As well, it gives you a good indication as to why you're learning what you're learning. In addition to the thing that you're learning, why is this widget so important in the larger tapestry of things? And I think that will help you figure out how you can replace it or add new stuff in or whatnot. But that broad base of knowledge is also another thing that we really emphasize here. So I think if you want to find out more, if you want to come join us at W Coding, come to our website, wcoding.com, sign up for courses, or even just send us an email with any questions that you might have, and we'll be happy to answer. So thanks for your time and good luck.